Alex Kennedy, hoopshype.com. He has the Hoops Hype podcast, a very popular one in the last week here with the locals here, as the Hoops Hype podcast was discussing with Drew Hanlon and how he became the elite NBA skills coach, working with guys like Joel Embiid, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and some guy named Fultz, which has some local interest here. And Alex Kennedy joins us now here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline to talk a little bit more about his discussion with who exactly Drew Hanlon is. Alex, welcome back. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. It's good to have you back. And you always seem to find some gems out there, and getting to talk with Drew Hanlon is a definite one in this area. I mean, this guy has kind of come out of nowhere as maybe the center of the Sixers universe right now all of a sudden, and his ability to remake not only the shot of Markelle Fultz, but expand Joel Embiid's game. So tell us a little bit about Drew Hanlon, how he kind of became this, guru of remaking players.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I found him about 3 years ago because I noticed that he was working with a lot of the top young players in the NBA, guys like Andrew Wiggins and Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine. There were plenty of players, guys that were really young that were coming up. So he had this, really good roster of young players. And now, you look at his roster, there's tons of all-stars all over it. You mentioned Embiid, Hayward, and he has even more young guys coming up now, like Jason Tatum, Markelle Fultz, as you mentioned. He's working with the two stars that are going to Duke now, R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish, so guys that could be future stars. Basically, he started training in high school. He was a high school star in St. Louis, and there were people that, really noticed his work ethic around town. So he started working with kids in high school and really enjoyed training and helping players get better. And then he went on to play college basketball at Belmont University. And whenever he realized, being a professional athlete wasn't possible, he focused on training. And because he was from St. Louis, he knew Bradley Beal from the time he was a kid. So he started training Bradley Beal and actually started training David Lee, who just kind of saw his workouts and wanted to work with him, even though, he wasn't really proven or had any experience. So we started working with Bradley Beal and David Lee really early on, and then both of them really improved after working with him. Word of mouth spread, and he started gaining all these different clients. And now half the league has approached him about taking an NBA job to become, a skills trainer or a director of player development or one of these kind of roles. But he's turned all of them down because, he likes being his own boss, working for himself and, choosing which players he can work with rather than just having to focus on one team. So his development as a trainer has been really fun to watch, and he does a terrific job.
It's interesting, you're an NBA team, yet you're allowing players. I guess that's the world we live in now. You would almost think like these teams would have their own guys that they want their players to work with, but it seems like the Drew Hanlons of the world are now becoming the norm.
Yeah, I think I think when that started was kind of Tim Grover working with Michael Jordan and then eventually working with guys like Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade. Guys really took their offseason training into their own hands, and they would work with their team. A lot of times these trainers will go to the team and say, okay, what do you want to work on? Or what should be our focus? And then they kind of make a game plan together for the offseason. But yeah, there are quite a few trainers like that around the NBA now, around the country. David Thorpe is a guy that is really good at correcting shots and skills. There's a guy, there's a few different guys. Joe Budasar from Impact Basketball in Las Vegas. Dan Bartle, he's fantastic in IMG Academy. There are so many different guys that are really emerging and doing the same thing that Drew Hanlon's doing. It's just Drew has all these all-stars, so he gets talked about a lot.
Alex Kennedy, hoopshype.com, the Hoops Hype podcast. His guest was Drew Hanlon. And one of the things, what makes Hanlon, so good, and he mentioned in the podcast, was he watched every single game from the last 8 years to really study and organize how field goals, every made field goal he watched. I mean, this is just an unbelievable amount of preparation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And some people were calling it out and saying, there's no way he actually did that. But I think he uses Synergy Sports, which is it's a service where basically you can go through and it's not watching a full game with commercials and, things like that. It's going to, watch each field goal, each play, each possession. So with the technology we have now, you can do something like that. It just is extremely time consuming, and you have to be really dedicated. And that's one of the things I think that separates him from a lot of people that are in his field, other trainers. He wrote a book when he was in high school about basketball training. He was a junior in high school. And, then you mentioned he watched 8 years of NBA games and sorted, every single field goal he saw into one of 1,800 categories so that he had data on all these field goals. And then he also learned about, the best way to guard different types of, possessions and, scoring possibilities. So he really became an expert at the game by studying it, and then also because he was playing it. A lot of these trainers never played, at a high level, and he was a guy that was a serviceable player at Belmont, and had a good role there. So he can play, and guys trust him.
Alex, couple guys that he specifically spoke on. Joel Embiid gave an in-depth breakdown of 3 things that he is working on this summer. It's very controversial here about the Sixers all season. They are star hunting. Well, they did not land a star, but they also said we are star developing. The development in Embiid is a big factor in this team taking a big step forward.
Yeah, and he said the 3 things they're working on with Embiid, and I think this is one of those things where they went to the Sixers and made the plan together. The first thing was low post dominance. He said, we understand that Embiid is amazing in the post, and he's already been very dominant there, but we think he can get even better. So one of the things he's known for is working on his footwork, his client's footwork. Drew is, kind of known for that. So improving footwork, low post dominance, making sure you can finish in ones and things like that. The second thing was being able to consistently make threes. They're really trying to work on Embiid's three-point shooting, and he basically said, look, if Embiid has a three-point shot that's very consistent, he's unstoppable. And that's what they realized. So they're trying to improve the three-point shooting. And number 3 was just playing on the perimeter and taking care of the ball. He can have a face-up game, be a ball handler, a guy that you can run the offense through from the perimeter rather than just in the post. So those are the 3 things that worked out with Embiid, and Embiid is really dedicated. He's in the gym every single day, and Drew Hanlon speaks very highly of him.
He mentioned Embiid in terms of basketball IQ, and I think that was kind of surprising because a lot of people, figure, all right, this guy hasn't had a lot of experience. He barely played college basketball. He has very few limited years of playing basketball, period, and for him to be a high IQ player, I found to be somewhat surprising.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because, like you said, you think the guys that are high IQ players are the ones that, started playing when they were kids and have been around top coaches their entire lives. But Embiid learned the game relatively recently compared to most of these NBA players. So it just shows how much of a natural he is, how smart he is. He's just so dominant. And I think he gets, what he has to do to take his game to the next level. I think he's shown that every step of the way so far by, developing the right things and being really understanding his own game. And sometimes it doesn't happen. There's guys that go into the offseason and try to work on, their three-point shooting when that's not going to help them get to the next level. Or they work on the mid-range game and then it doesn't translate well into game shots. I've seen that from a lot of centers where they're working on the wrong things and then they go into the season, they can't even use them. It doesn't translate. Embiid's very good at working on things that are going to translate to the actual season.
And then there's Markelle Fultz, which might be I think, the most interesting sports story we might have in the area for the next upcoming season because, again, star hunting, star developing. He could be both. You could be adding a star and be developing your own star all at the same time. And I don't know what to think about this guy, but what kind of impression did you get from Drew Hanlon about his dealings with Markelle Fultz?
Well, here's what I will say. Going into the interview, he said, I can't say too much about Fultz. And I said, okay, I understand that. I don't know if that's from the Sixers or from Fultz's camp, but he made that clear. But I said, look, I need to ask the question. Say as much as you can. So I asked the question, what is Markelle Fultz looking like? What are your goals? What are your predictions for him? And he said, look, we're not really saying much. We're not putting out tons of video. He said, I know the media and fans would love to see every shot and every workout from Fultz, but we're not adding any extra pressure to this guy. And he's like, we're not hiding him. He's like, that's absolutely not the case. We're very impressed with him. I think Sixers fans are going to be very excited. We just don't want to put extra pressure on him. So it's interesting, that's why you're not seeing a lot of videos and things like that. There have been a few spottings and videos here and there, but, not very many. But people who have seen them have been very excited. I think the Sixers are being updated and they like what they're hearing. So, and Hanlon said, look, if you're a Philly fan, it's time to get excited. So as much as he doesn't want to add pressure by putting out videos, he's saying the right thing to get Philly fans excited. And he's still so young. That's the thing people don't realize. Fultz is younger than a lot of guys that were drafted this year. He's such a young player. So to give up on him, this early would just be crazy.
Yeah, it seems that that's the case. And a lot of people who are privy to his workouts are saying that, hey, he looks like the guy that you drafted number one, and that he has improved upon that. In the limited video that is out there, Alex, he does seem to have put on some more muscle.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think a big thing, too, for him, not only putting on muscle and working on that shot, getting that confidence back up, I think that's the most important thing, the confidence. I think not only does he, get to work on a guy, work with a guy who's able to craft his shot basically and make sure he's shooting the right way and look at his form and stuff like that. And he has all these really unique methods that he uses. Like he times every player's the shot release, and tries to help speed it up so that, it's not getting blocked. And, he works on guys' form and uses all these different techniques that, are pretty unique. Not only does he do that, because he has so many all-stars, guys like Embiid, Hayward, Tatum, Fultz, he's in good hands, and he's playing pickup against guys that are very good, and that's going to be a confidence booster too.
So with Fultz, essentially he's different from some of these other guys, though, right? I mean, he's helping these guys take their game to another level. With Fultz, he essentially had to remake this guy's entire shot, right?
Yeah, but he does that with some other guys too. There are times where a guy will come in and have a hitch in their shot, or they have, certain issues, and it's not as publicly discussed because, with Fultz, it's interesting because he went from being such a dominant guy in college to, we saw him struggling with fundamentals and just basic shooting and things like that. So it is different. He's had to completely revamp things, but it's something that it's not new to him. He does recraft player shots every now and then. There are guys that go to him and say, look, I think my shot could be better, my form could be better. So, that is something he's done before, worked with players to, change their three-point shot, change their free throw shooting. So he's done it before, but I would say Fultz is different because I don't think we've ever seen a player change so much in such a short period of time. And a lot of that, I think, was mental. And that's why I think they don't want to put a ton of pressure on him and things like that. The big thing for him is to make sure that what he's doing in workouts is going to be able to translate into games, making sure that, he's not just dominating pickup games and workouts in the summer, but can do the same thing during the season. And that's what they're working towards.
Right, and that's one of the reasons probably the Sixers would not have played him in Summer League anyway, but almost Hanlon did not want him to be playing in actual games, correct?
Yeah, it seems that way. They're playing pickup, and obviously he's able to show what he does there. But I think really this summer was all about just, going to the gym every day, getting away from, media and fans and, expectations, and just trying to build his confidence back up and kind of rebuild things behind the scenes. I never understood why last year Philadelphia put him out there in the facility or in the arena, with a ton of media and fans there, especially when he wasn't playing in games. When he was just trying to come back from the injury, I always thought they should have had those workouts done behind scenes because, every day new video was coming out and people were critiquing it and looking over it and talking about it. So if it was a mental thing, that wasn't helping. So right. I think they learned from that and wanted to do things behind the scenes now.
Gut feeling from you, just talking to Hanlon. I know he didn't give you a whole heck, but and just talking to people around the league, does Fultz come back and make an impact?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think we wouldn't be hearing – Drew Hanlon is someone that's honest. I will say that. If Markelle Fultz was playing horribly, he wouldn't be saying things like, it's time for Philly fans to get excited.
he wouldn't be saying, that things are moving in a positive direction. There have been enough people now saying that, they've talked to other players who have worked out with Fultz and seen great things, and that he's dominating and not only looks like his shot's better, but looks more explosive and like the player we saw in college, if not better. So I just think there's enough evidence out there that he's going to be a contributor. Now, I don't want fans to think he's going to go out there and be a superstar, because he is still so young and has to develop, and he is, still pretty raw. It's a lot of potential based, but I do think he could be a significant contributor next year for Philly.
Alex Kennedy, the Hoops Hype podcast. Give it a listen. It was about 40 minutes long. It's worth your time. He talks about other NBA players, Tatum, Hayward. He mentions a guy that he wants to work with. Drew Hanlon was his guest on the Hoops Hype podcast. You can get that at hoopshype.com or follow Alex at Alex Kennedy NBA. And he was kind enough to join us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Always a pleasure, pal. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care.